by T.G. Brooks Company. Sandling Golf Cars and Our Pride Foods, makers of Our Pride Premium Pimento Cheese, Spread and Dip. Our guest today is Mr. Paul Westfall. Paul is actually the director for Person and Granville County offices of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service. Well, good morning to you, Paul Westfall.
A good Friday morning to you, Rob.
And we're getting a little bit of rain,
Yep.
and we're in need of some rain. Wouldn't you agree?
We've been needing some rain since end of June, I believe.
Yeah.
It's got really dry and hot in July and August. We've had a spotty shower or two here, there, and yonder. And for instance, soybean fields that got a little bit of rain, and the cooler temperatures have helped that, and they've really responded well on that. But we're getting a little bit of rain, but we certainly want to keep our thoughts and prayers and any assistance we can give out to the folks that were affected down in southeast Texas by Hurricane Harvey.
Wow, that is really sad, and I know that the people in Louisiana are going to be experiencing some floods, and I guess maybe they're calling it, it's not Hurricane Harvey anymore as they're referring to it, but as it comes on up through, they're saying maybe some flooding in Mississippi and things like that, and we will say that if you are wanting to help out, one of the best ways to help out is to make a donation to the Red Cross and or the Salvation Army.
That's correct. You know where the money's going to go with those charities,
that's
or with your church. A lot of churches are sending aid down into that area also in Texas and Louisiana.
Well, and Paul, a lot of times they'll have a lot of supply drives,
Right.
and I don't know, but I've heard, that they say that a lot of times they'll just have these tractor trailer loads of supplies just sitting around, and really no way to get them distributed and everything, and they say that a lot of times, financial support, can get results a little bit faster.
Yeah, the financial support is more flexible to use because it can be put to what is needed, for basic supplies, water, clothing, baby food, formula, anything like that. It's just a lot more flexible to be used, whereas sometimes the goods, unless it's basic things like water or canned food and things like that, it might be a little more difficult to distribute, but certainly there's a lot of need in that area.
Yeah.
And we want to help out any way we can. We do want to make sure our assistance reaches the folks that need it.
Yeah, and I know we have listeners in our area that like to step up whenever they can to offer assistance, and you're greatly appreciated for that. And I know that we've got listeners in our area that have, friends and maybe some family that have people that has been affected by Hurricane.
Yeah, my
Harvey.
sister and her husband live in Cedar Hill, Texas, which is outside the hurricane-affected zone. But the thing they're facing now is that all the gas stations are running out of gas. The gasoline deliveries have been cut short and curtailed, and we're starting to feel it here also because I noticed there was a 20-cent jump in price yesterday.
Yeah. Hey, and I'm glad you made mention of that. And if you need gasoline, by all means, put some in your tank. But don't just rush off to the service station to fill every can and every car or vehicle up with gasoline because of being afraid that the gas is going to give out. Trust me, it's not going to give out. It's too much money on the line. As long as they can get the product to you, the product is going to be available. And but they say that is one thing. People kind of get a little bit nervous and they try to fill up everything.
And that's
that
what's
got.
happening out in the Dallas area right now. All these people are kind of panicking, and there's getting lines that are reminiscent of the 1970s when we had the oil shortage back then. That people lined up way down the street trying to get in and get gas. But so it's kind of a panic thing going on right now. Fuel is being delivered if everybody just be patient and use it normally, and not try to stock up and fill every container you got. So,
well,
you're right, it will be delivered.
Yeah, and Paul, relating it, whenever they call for any inclement weather, whether it's snow and ice, everybody flocks to the grocery store.
You're right.
To buy bread, milk, eggs, and things like that. And I made the statement one time to a pretty prominent businessman here in the county. I said, I bet the grocery stores love the chance of inclement weather. And
Oh,
he said,
my.
well, you know what? He said, not necessarily true. He said, because what happens is, he said, people go and they stock up, and then when they see that they don't really need all of these supplies, it's kind of a lull in business after that.
Right.
You know, for the
So
merchants.
they got a
and things
peak and
like
then a
that.
slump.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
But-
anyway, so just like I say, you know, but if you're in dire straits of gasoline, by all means,
Get
it.
what you need.
But you know,
Don't
just
overdo it.
have-
Get what you need.
That's
It's-
right.
It's our recommendation. And as far as the emergency preparedness, we're still in hurricane season. They're tracking some in the Atlantic now that could hit our way. We don't know. But, of course, we do recommend having an emergency kit available that, you know, you can get through at least 3 days on.
That's
So,
right.
non-perishable foods, some clothing, some water, you know, just the very basic needs that you might have. First aid kit, you know, anything like that. There's all sorts of places. If you call our office, we can give you a recommended list of things to put in an emergency kit to have available for the family, just to keep the family safe. That's what we
right.
want.
And if you'd be interested in that information, you can call the person at County Cooperative Extension Service at 336-599-1195, the Granville County office at 919-603-1350. We're going to be talking about pasture management and reseeding pastures. But before we jump into that, several events is going to be coming up in the near future. And Paul, if you would, I'll let you start out talking about the pesticide application training.
Okay, yes. Pesticide applicators that are certified, you know, either private or commercial, have to have so many hours of continuing education credits, you know, during their certification period in order to become recertified, you know, when their certification runs out. So on the 12th of September, it's just a couple weeks away. It's September today, right?
I know it. Wow.
Wow, 11 days away now, I guess. But anyway, we're holding a pesticide applicator training meeting there at the Extension Center in the county office building there on 304 South Morgan Street. This is training for Category V. This is for private applicators. Private applicators have to have recertification credits in 2 categories. One of those is Category V, the other is Category X. So the V training is done, some of that's done by NCDA personnel, and they have to do it. We can't, well, in an emergency we can do it for them, but they're supposed to be here for the Category V training. But that's going to be on September 12th, right there in our office in the Person County office building, 304 South Morgan Street. It'll start at 6:30 in the evening, run to 8:30. You get 2 hours of V credit, which is what is needed to continue certification if that should run out. And we got some folks, the certifications are good for 3 years, but if this is that 3rd year, it's going to run out at the end of September. So if you need some V credits, you just need 2 V credits, you can get those here at this training on September 12th.
Now Paul, if you would talk just a little bit more in depth about that. Now, if it's someone that's out here that's spraying, you know, Roundup or maybe some Crossbow or glyphosate around the farm and all, they do not need this pesticide certification, but it's for people that are actually maybe spraying farm crops and spraying
Right, it's more-
lawns for a living, correct?
Well, it's the V training is for private applicators, and you're right. If you're just, you know, a homeowner buying some Roundup to spray on the side, keep the sidewalk clear, or your home garden, you don't have to have a license to do that. But in agricultural production, there are some pesticides that are restricted use.
Okay.
You can't go down and buy them at, over the counter at the farm store. You'll have to show that you are a certified pesticide applicator and have received training to do this. So those products, you know, you have to have a certification. And if you're a farmer and you're just spraying these materials on your own crops, a private applicator certification is all you need. But if you're going to be, say you're a lawn care business, and spraying any pesticide, even if it's not restricted like Roundup, glyphosate. If you're doing commercial pesticide work, you have to have a commercial certification and license in order to do that. And during that certification period, you have to receive certification credits in those categories that you're licensed in or certified in.
Well, now, and I guess one of the best way to explain the definition of commercial is if you're doing it for hire.
If you're doing it for hire, yes. A farmer can do it on his own fields or pastures, but if he, neighbor says, hey, will you come and spray my field? Then it becomes a for hire situation, and that farmer would need to be commercially certified in order to do that legally.
Right. Well, now, Paul, if it's someone that does not have their pesticide license, is it hard to get your pesticide license?
There's a process to go through to do that. If you've never been involved with the industry or using pesticides on as a part of your job, if you're not familiar with them, there's a 30-hour course that has to be taken. They are scheduled throughout the year. Most of the time, the closest ones to us are down in Raleigh. They hold them on the state fairgrounds, I think in the Jim Graham building.
Right.
But, there's a 30-hour course that wouldn't have to be passed or document that you worked in, say you work for a landscaper and under their supervision, and you could prove that you were familiar with everything, then maybe the test could be waived. And then there's the application fee. You have to take a certification test after that 30-hour course. You have to pass a test in order to become certified. So it can be stressful to take the test. So there's some pretty detailed questions on it. But if you've studied the material and know how to do a little bit of math, and know how to calibrate different types of equipment that you might be using, then it shouldn't be a big problem. Although people come to these recertification trainings, say, I want to be sure I don't have to take that test again. Because
well, I was gonna
some
say,
of us don't like to take tests. I'll just put it that way.
Once you let your application license more or less expire, you have to pretty much start all over.
Go back and take the test again.
Yeah.
So
again, that will be coming up on September the 12th. That's a Tuesday night.
I believe it is, yes, sir.
336-599-1195, and it will be between 6:30 and 8:30. Now, Paul, looking at your note right there, you see you've got something about pasture and livestock management field day.
Yes, I don't have the location details up here on it, but there is a pasture and livestock management field day. It's actually going to be down in just across the Person-Durham County line in Durham County, in Bahama, I believe. But that's going to be on September 14th,
Which is a
Thursday morning, bright and early. Be there at 7:30 in the morning, and it'll last till noon. This is a regional one. Soil and Water Conservation Districts and Cooperative Extension in both Durham and Person counties. I believe Orange County's involved, Granville County's involved. We've invited Wake County. So we're inviting a lot of people from all around the area to come to this field day. It's going to be on a farm, so you can see what this farm is doing. Call the office and get more information, more detailed information on that. I think it'd be very beneficial. Folks would like to see what they're doing as far as their pasture management and then how they're managing their livestock on those pastures in that field day.
And again, that's Thursday, September 14th, 336-599-1195. For more information, just tell them you'd like some information on the pasture and livestock management field day. Another event coming up, this will be on Tuesday, September the 19th, and it's National Preparedness Month. Disasters don't plan ahead, but you can. Very important, parents, safety, preparedness, and September is National Preparedness Month. Come join VIP to learn ways to prepare for unexpected disasters. The guest speaker will be Doug Young. Emergency Services Director. And this will be at the Person County Office Building Auditorium. And it's going to be again Tuesday, September 19th at 5:30. And they ask that you RSVP by Monday, September 18th by calling 336-599-1195. And we'll keep you reminded of that over the next few weeks or so. And the last event that we're going to make mention of for right now on the calendar is a pesticide collection day. Tell us more about that, Paul.
Yeah, this is a pesticide collection day that comes, we do this every couple of years in Person County. The Department of Agriculture contracts with some waste handlers to come to Person County. We're going to set up in the Hyco warehouse that's located at 1965 Durham Road, just on the south side of Roxborough.
Yeah,
A lot of people know what that is.
That's right.
It's going to be Tuesday, September 26th. Going to start at 10 a.m. and run till 2 p.m. This is mainly for farmers, but it's for anybody that has any unused pesticide, herbicide. You got a little bit of Roundup left. You don't think you're going to use it. Don't want to keep it around the house. Bring it to this collection day.
And this is not for paint.
No,
or
this
anything like that. This is for
pesticides only.
Pesticides only.
Yeah, pesticides only. If you got
And they would accept would they accept herbicides?
Yeah, herbicide
Okay.
is a pesticide,
Okay.
but yeah, they'll accept herbicides, fungicides, and insecticides that may be collecting around the house or in the barn, around the farm you want to get rid of. I mean, Rob, I've had calls from people that a loved one passed away and they're cleaning out the barn and they find this stuff that's just sitting in a corner, got dust all over it and everything, and they might want to get rid of it because it's a hazard if it's just sitting around collecting dust. Should something catch on fire and that stuff's in there, then we have a hazard for our volunteer firemen to come and deal with, and we don't need that to happen. So if you find any old pesticides, you're not sure what they are, as long as they got a label on them, we can figure out what it is. We can take these to this pesticide collection day. The waste handlers will seal it up safely and correctly, put it in barrels, and they haul it away. And the Department of Agriculture contracts with them to do this, and they take it to a disposal site where all these things are burned, incinerated. There is no charge to do this. This is a service of the Department of Agriculture. It does not come out of our pockets. Maybe a little tax money goes into it, but we don't have to pay them to take our pesticides away. They're coming to do it at no charge to our farmers or to our homeowners that happen to have a little bit of a pesticide still hanging around. But you're right, it's not for paint, it's not for motor oil, it's not for grease, it's not for paint thinner or anything like that. This is pesticides only. Just want to make
that clear.
Make that clear and emphasize it, because if you bring paint down there, we'll have to turn you away, and that sometimes creates some hard feelings, and we can't help that. But the contractors are only there to accept pesticides. So
and special thanks to Hyco Warehouse. That
Absolutely.
event's been going on there for years and years, and we
Jack and his crew do a great job
and
down
all
there.
those guys. And for those of you that are maybe not familiar with where Hyco Warehouse is located at, it's on 501 South. It's just down below Tar Heel Chevrolet and Strickland Jones Funeral Home on the left-hand side, on the opposite side of the road, and it's kind of diagonal across from Lowe's Home Improvement. So again, that will be on Tuesday, September 26th. And again, the hours of that is from
10 a.m. to 2 p.m.
10 a.m. until 2 p.m.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to take a break and get a word on for T.G. Brooks Company. We're hoping to be broadcasting the Gardener's Corner program from T.G. Brooks Company in the next few weeks or so. We always enjoy our trip down there. Bill and Roy and their staff are really nice and friendly and kind, and they kind of roll out the red carpet for us, so to
every
speak.
time, you betcha.
And they'll do the same thing for you. So go see them right there at T.G. Brooks Company, 411 Helena Mariah Road.
Little by little, fall is starting to come on, and it's time now to get mums and pansies. Also time for collards, cauliflower, cabbage, broccoli, and other fall vegetables. T.G. Brooks Company has them. This is the best time of the year right now to get your yard off to a good start, too. Remember to kill those weeds in the lawn and get ready for fall seeding. T.G. Brooks Company has the lawn chemicals to do the job. This is the best time of the year to enrich and repair the lawn. T.G. Brooks Company has the new Top Choice Turf Grass Seed for greener and plusher lawns. Also available are rental lawn aerators and pull and walk behind pluggers and spreaders, bag and bulk mulches, and bulk planting soil. They have your fertilizers in line. They still have plenty of lawn sprinklers, water hose, and water hose fittings if you need hose repair. If you need yard tools, they're in abundance, plus wheelbarrows. Pick up a couple of nice rakes while you're there. Leaves will be here soon. Fresh pine needles, too. And if you are the homeowner or the professional landscaper, both get the same kind of service. Taylor wood stove parts are available to get your stove serviced up for cold weather. Remember, they have dog kennels, shavings, and of course Bartlett animal feeds and Pride dog food. Your family will be smiling when you finish off the day with a delicious hand-cut ribeye steak you bought at T.G. Brooks Company. And it's still time to make some homemade ice cream on these nice warm days. T.G. Brooks Company, been around since 1936. 411 Helena Mariah Road, next door to Community Pharmacy in Timberlake.
All right, here we are back on the Gardeners Corner program, and we always enjoy chit-chatting it up while the commercials are going on.
Absolutely.
And we was just jotting down a few notes so I can kind of keep you reminded of a few things over the next few weeks. But again, for more information on the pesticide application training, the pasture and livestock management field day, the disaster preparedness meeting that will be on September the 19th, and also, and for more information on the pesticide collection day, call the Person County Cooperative Extension Service 336-599-1195. Again, 336-599-1195. And again, as Paul had made mention early on in the show today, that if you would like to get some more or less disaster preparedness information on maybe what you would need to stock up to have in case we should, have a hurricane or, some bad weather, they have a list that they will gladly give you free of charge at the Cooperative Extension Service. And, we all can think about certain little things that we may need, but if you get that list, it's a complete list of things and ideas. And also, if you have pets, it's a good idea to, have them in mind. And also, if you have livestock, and now one thing that they do try to stress to horse owners is have your horses to where they will load inside of a trailer. Because if you ever have to load them up to get them out of harm's way. But now for those people that have cattle and things, that's not really so easy done with cattle.
A little more difficult.
It
You
is
gotta
that,
get them up in a crowd, run them through a chute, and run them
Yeah.
into the trailer that way. We're fortunate here. I don't think we're going to have that kind of flooding. Cows can get up on a hill out of the water. Down east, last fall. It was a lot more difficult when all the rivers flooded after Hurricane Matthew. And they're experiencing something similar, if not worse, down in Texas and Louisiana right now. But and I did see where there was a farm in Texas that said if you've got horses or livestock, bring them up there. They would be happy to hold them until the emergency was over. And I thought that was just a wonderful
It
thing for
is.
them to do.
Well,
But yeah, And think about that, if you got some facilities and are able to hold a few extra head for a few days during an emergency, let the animal control folks know that.
That's right, good
'Cause that
idea.
helps in the emergency planning, because we want to take care of ourselves and our families, we want to take care of our pets, but we also have responsibility for our livestock,
That's
as
right.
we go forward.
And you know, Paul, it's a good thing that it takes a lot of times something bad to bring out the best in people.
Mhm.
But it's always a good idea to have a plan B in mind just in case.
Yep.
Also, we'll touch on one other thing. Paul, you had sent in a press release last week, and Johnny and myself mentioned it, about the female mule down in Johnston County that had been euthanized because it tested positive for EIA, and that's what we call Coggins around here. So all of our equine owners, we strongly suggest that you have your horses, donkeys, and or mules tested.
Any equine.
Yeah, any kind of equine, have them tested at least once a year for the EIA.
Yep.
And until the case in Johnson County a few weeks ago, the last known case was back in 2005.
That's right.
And it's no cure for it, but the best way to control it is doing these annual tests. And I know Paul organizes several clinics, vaccination clinics for horses, you know, in the early spring, late winter, early spring, and it's several that go on here in the county. So by all means, it's not just a bunch of hype, but it's something that if you love your animals and your neighbors and friends' animals, you know, it's the responsible thing to do. It sure
It's
is.
the responsible thing to do, and I know some folks say, well, I don't bring my horses off the farm to go anywhere, so we're not gonna be exposing our horses to anything, we're not gonna have our horses exposed to anything that way, but I don't know the details on this mule that was found positive, or how they happened to check it this time of year, you know, to see if it was positive. But anytime, certainly you're gonna be bringing your horses or mules or draft horses, you know, off the farm to commingle with other equines, you know, the horse show, trail ride, anything like that. Yeah, the law says you have to have a negative Coggins paper. to
Proof,
accom-
that's right.
Proof that you've had that Coggins test done within the last 12 months.
That's right.
And that's just the way the veterinary services law is written. So the reason we schedule those clinics in, you know, like February usually is to have it done just prior to the horse show and the trail ride season starting. Because Rob, as you know, there's trail rides that start up in early
Yeah,
March.
it sure is.
And then there'll be a trail ride somewhere in the state every weekend on through, you know, November. So it's a big deal. You know, some people travel for hours and miles to go to a trail ride and meet their friends and just have a very enjoyable weekend or week or however long a day or half a day. You know, the trail rides can be of any length, and of course it's always good to be out in the open riding along with the horse and some good friends to do so. So we want it to be done safely
That's
for
right.
both the people and for the animals. So that's why it's important that this Coggins test be done. Of course, the clinics, we also offer vaccination services, so keep that in mind. Jot it down on your calendar for next February. If you got horses you like to trail ride, look for one of these clinics. You save a little bit of money on the testing and on the vaccines, and
You don't have to pay the vet to come to your place.
you don't have to pay the trip fee for the vet,
That's
which,
right.
you know, sometimes that can be pretty expensive by
Sure
itself.
can. And one other thing, as Paul mentioned about vaccinations, it's really important to make sure that you vaccinate your horses for the West Nile virus, because West Nile virus is something that can be transmitted from horses to humans. The likelihood of it happening is a small chance, but it is a chance of
It
that
has
happening.
It has happened, you
It
know, it's
sure
been
has.
documented that it does, but, you know, we also, there's a suite of vaccines that we do recommend because of the prevalence of diseases that are out there in this area. Of course, rabies is one that we strongly recommend also,
Yeah.
having your horses vaccinated against that.
Yeah, sure is. Well, look, We are going to go ahead and get into the topic at hand. I know we got off talking about some other things, but some very important things that we wanted to share with our viewers and listeners, and we're glad to have you tuned in. And you know, sometimes I know a lot of people might maybe think about, well, you know, they're talking about this today, and I don't have any interest in it. Well, just because you may not have interest in it doesn't necessarily mean that no one does. And you know, we've talked about pond management, you know, and things. And I had a lady call me a few weeks ago and asked me to see if I could get one of the extension agents to come out to the place because they had something that was taking their pond over.
Right.
And the lady informed me that they had spent quite a bit of money, you know, trying to kill the weed. And as we've talked about it numerous times, unless you can identify that weed and you know what you're trying to kill, you know, what you're spraying it with, it may kill it, but in a lot of cases, you're wasting time and money.
Yeah.
So know what you're trying to kill before you're spraying it.
And because it's in a pond or in an aquatic situation, you have to be extra careful with that because it may not be the actual chemical that you're spraying out there that could cause a problem, but it could be the inert ingredients that are in that container that will cause a problem. For instance, you know, we mentioned glyphosate is a commonly used weed killer.
Right.
You know, around homes and gardens and lawns, you know, farmers use it. It's very commonly found, but if you use the commonly found glyphosate, you know, just off the shelf in an aquatic situation, that could cause a problem with fish, you know, because the inert ingredients tend to be toxic to fish. So if you want to use glyphosate, or if it's what's going to be recommended to control weeds in the pond, find a formulation that is approved for use in water, just to avoid problems of non-target species being hurt by that. We don't want to cause anything any damage otherwise other than the target weed that we're trying to get rid of.
Right.
Yeah, I was out at a pond last week over on Durgee Mine Road that had these beautiful little yellow flowers, you know, growing out into the pond in kind of a viney looking plant, and they wanted to know what it was because they were concerned about their calves getting caught and tangled up in that. So I went out and looked at it, and it was creeping water primrose. So beautiful flower, and primroses, of course, are beautiful landscape plant too. But fairly easy to, well, I won't say it's real easy, but won't be as expensive as some other problems to get rid of. But he can make a spot treatment on that and to take care of it, and his pond looks great. And once he gets that done.
And just one other thing, if you are having some weeds to grow in your pond, you can collect a sample of the weeds and take them into the extension office, and if they can identify them there, they'll tell you what kind of weed it is, and they can tell you which chemical to purchase to take care of that weed. But now, if they cannot identify that weed in the office, it's a cost.
There's a $25 fee if we have to send it to the diagnostic lab
to have it tested. But that $25 is well money spent, because once you identify the problem, finding the solution is a lot easier. So just kind of bear that in mind. Paul, you said you wanted to talk about pasture management and maybe reseeding pastures.
Right. Yeah, that's kind of what I thought we'd talk about today. Of course, we talked about everything else so far, but why not? With this rain we've got today, it's going to make a lot of folks, I think it's going to make folks think about getting out there and getting their fall seeding ready.
Right.
Sometimes our fescues are looking a little thin, or we want it not getting as much grass off or hay off of a fat field or pasture that we think we should, and we go out and look, and maybe it's just not as thick as it used to be, or for one reason or another. And some of those reasons can be got cold in the wintertime. Sometimes it'll winter kill. More often it goes through a summertime, and it gets hot and dry, and fescue does not tolerate hot and dry weather very well, and we tend to lose some of our stands during that. So we just went through a period of hot, dry weather in July after having a period of cool, wet weather in May and June, when we couldn't hardly plant anything. And then it got really hot and pastures just went to nothing. And now we're looking at fall, and of course our cool season grasses like fescue and orchard grass will start growing really, really fast again because it's in their temperature range. And this moisture is going to kick off more growth on our forages and also our other crops, which is really good. It makes us think about that. Well, fall is a really good time to make a good overseeding. Lawn people do it all the time. They overseed just about every year. Well, pasture is a little expensive to do that, but every so often maybe it's a good idea to do so. I just wanted to mention the rain will also loosen the soil up enough that it's easier to get a soil sample. If you want to have that tested, it's a good idea to do so. Lime can be applied at any time of the year, not a certain season. The only thing I tell folks, you can put lime out any time that the truck that's spreading it won't get stuck.
That's right, good idea.
So fall is a really good time to do that because we just got a little moisture, but hopefully it's not so wet that we're gonna get the lime truck stuck or bog down our spreader if we're pulling it with the tractor. Phosphorus and potassium can be put down in the fall. It's not as seasonally critical to put that down as it is nitrogen. So those things are some good fall chores. If you're not harvesting tobacco and got some time to do it, then go ahead and it's a good idea to go ahead and get those chores taken care of. But if your stand is thin, you might want to think about getting some seed and overseeding it. There's a number of ways you can do that. The best way that I like to recommend is to use a no-till drill. You can either cut it for hay or graze it close and then come in with that no-till drill, and it'll put the seed right in the rows, and you don't have to use quite as much. You can use 16 to 18 pounds instead of 20 pounds of fescue per acre in order to make that overseeding. And then as long as the moisture's right and you've got the right nutrients and the pH is right, you should come back with a nice full pasture or hay field by the time that all those seeds sprout and take hold and go through the winter, and then next spring they'll be ready to go to make a lot of forage for you.
Well, and you certainly, whenever you overseed, whether it's your pasture or your lawn, you want to do your best to make sure that seed makes ground contact. One thing, if you can mow your lawn pretty close before reseeding, that helps. And if you're reseeding your pasture, you may need to run the bush hog over it to kind of cut it a little bit low. Paul, if it's someone that is maybe had some land cleared and they are wanting to get grass planted on it to maybe turn into a future pasture, now's a good time to do that, isn't it?
Well, we recommend that fescue and orchard grass and all be planted in the fall. It takes better. It's there, it'll peg down, it'll go through the winter, and then next spring it'll come out and grow real well. On these grasses, though, we don't recommend that you put cows on it right away. Give the grass a chance to get established and growing, so keep them clear. Don't put animals on it. Horses tend to pull up grass, especially newly established grass. Cows will clip it off pretty close. It makes it hard to regrow. Let them get established good. I know down at the experiment station when they're putting a new field in, a pasture, and they're actually changing over from Kentucky 31 to the new, what we call novel endophyte varieties of fescue that don't have the toxicity to them. But they give it a full year before they start, taking hay off or grazing those pastures. So,
now, Paul, with that new type of grass, now, when you talk about horses, when a mare is in foal, typically at least 1 month to 6 weeks before her expected foaling date, it's not a good idea to feed her fescue or to let her graze fescue, although that time of the year it's not a lot of fescue out.
Right.
If you're wanting your mares to foal, say, in March or early April. It's not a lot of fescue out, but it's a good idea to feed them, whether it be orchard grass, oat hay, or something, and not necessarily fescue, because fescue has something in it that will tend to make the I'm gonna call it the sack. I don't know what the proper name is. And sometimes when the mare foals, the foal cannot break through the sack. Now, is this new type of grass that you're talking about?
The newer fescues that we call them have what we call a novel endophyte. They still have the endophyte in them, but it's a variety or type of endophyte that does not produce the toxicity like that's found in Kentucky 31 fescue, which we've used for 50 years, to plant pastures with. There's been a lot of research. We've known about this problem for a long time, but the benefits of having a good grass like fescue available to our livestock has outweighed the disadvantages of having this endophyte toxicity problem. We've tried to manage around it so it does, to minimize the bad effects. And like you're talking with horses, you don't feed them, mature fescue hay in the last couple of months of pregnancy. You don't graze them on fescue, too much during, the last trimester, let's say.
Right.
Because of that endophyte problem and the thickened placenta and everything else, the problems of making sure the foal is healthy and safe. Same thing in cattle, making sure the calf is born live, and we want a healthy calf to be born. Alpaca owners are very concerned about the toxicity and endophyte and fescue. These newer grasses, newer fescues, for a while they tried breeding the endophyte out of fescue and got rid of it totally. And those varieties of fescue just would not stay in a stand. It's kind of like trying to keep orchard grass going around here. You plant orchard grass, and 3 years later you're planting orchard grass again, because we're just a little too far south for it and too warm for orchard grass to reseed properly and keep growing. These fescues we found without an endophyte aren't as hardy and won't stay in a stand nearly as long. We got people with fescue stands that have been in for 50 years.
Yeah.
Kentucky 31, that relationship it has with the endophyte, makes the fescue, vigorous. It makes it tougher to it can stand a lot of abuse, as we say. These newer varieties still have an endophyte in it, so that symbiotic relationship is still there. So they're staying in a stand a lot longer than some of those previous varieties we tried. It's matching Kentucky 31 pretty closely for longevity, but they have to be a little more careful starting them out. Like we were saying, don't graze them for a while after you establish it, especially if you're establishing it from scratch on a newly cleared field or something. Or say you got a field you're going to rotate out of tobacco, you want to let it lay by for a while. You're not going to replant it for 3 or 4 or 5 years. Maybe consider fescue and putting a fence around it and grazing it for a while would be a good way to break up the disease and insect cycles on there. Something to keep in mind.
That's right.
But
and good advice, and I think that it depends, and as Paul mentioned, horses can pretty much pull grass up by the roots because they have teeth on the top and bottom. So a horse is a little bit harder. Well, I shouldn't say a little bit. A horse is a lot harder on pastures than cows or any other kind of livestock. So just kind of bear that in mind. We need to get a word on for Sandling Golf Cars,
good.
One of our fine supporting sponsors. Whether you're in the need of a livestock trailer, a utility trailer, a Wilmington grill, a golf car, go see them at Sandling Golf Cars. Matter of fact, I spoke with them this morning, and they were unloading a shipment of trailers in the rain. And this is his second shipment of trailers that they've had to unload this week. So if you need a trailer, go to Sandling Golf Cars. Here's more information. Let's take a trip to Oxford and stop in at Sandling Golf Cars, located 613 Lewis Street. There you will find Club Car, Easy Go, and Yamaha golf cars. They have gasoline and electric models available. Basic to fully customized golf cars can be found at Sandline Golf Cars. They have new and pre-owned units. See Al Hillary Wheel at Sandline Golf Cars, open for business Monday through Friday, 8 a.m. to 5:30, Saturdays 9 until 1. Inquire about special financing options. Call 919-693-4626 or toll free 1-800-221-9267. Visit the website sandlinegolfcars.com. Check out the XRTs powered by a gasoline or diesel engine. Rugged, durable, and dependable. They're available at Sandline Golf Cars. Okay, here we are back on the Gardener's Corner program. We're glad to have Mr. Paul Westfall with us today, sharing his knowledge, and been talking about a wide range of topics.
We ball around the world,
Yes,
feels
we
like,
have.
doesn't it?
Paul, we got about 3 or 4 minutes
Okay.
left, and if you want to continue on about reseeding pastures and pasture
Yeah.
management.
Well, I mentioned we manage around fescue, the old Kentucky 31 fescue, to try and improve things. And one of the ways we do that is recommend strongly to put in a couple pounds of Ladino white clover, or about 4 pounds per acre of a red clover. That does a lot of things. The pH has to be right. You know, you have to have the lime out there to get the clovers to grow. But the clovers will add dry matter, and they add protein to what's out there in the pasture, or if you take it for hay, and just makes it a lot higher quality forage for animals, horses, cows, whatever you're going to be grazing. So we recommend adding some clover out there in the hayfield or in the pasture, you know, for those two purposes. And then there's an added benefit, because most of our clovers have been inoculated with bacteria on the roots that will actually capture nitrogen out of the atmosphere and make it available to our other plants. So we can reduce our fertilizer bill later on if we got plenty of clovers out there. So just wanted to mention that as a you know, clovers also attract a lot of wildlife. If you like seeing, you know, wildlife out in your fields with your horses and cows, that's a good thing. Of course, they also bring you know, external parasites that we're trying to get rid of, but some people like the aesthetics of that. I don't mind it myself to see them running around out in the field.
That's
It's,
right.
just a good thing. But clovers are very beneficial for a number of reasons. I just thought I'd throw that in there
Yeah.
here as we're
By
getting
all
ready to
means.
close the show down, unfortunately.
Yeah, I tell you, the time has really swept by. But if you'd like a little bit more information about reseeding pastures and pasture management, just contact Paul Westfall at the Person County office, 336-599-1195, or the Granville County office, 919-603-1350. The Extension Service has a lot of wonderful ideas, and for all of you homeowners that have cool season grasses in your yard, such as fescue, September is the month to apply your fertilizer. Hopefully you have done your soil samples and you know what you need to put out. And if you're doing some overseeding or reseeding, September is the prime time of the year to plant cool season grasses.
Time to get it
And
done.
get it done. And maybe if you're someone that has Bermuda grass in your lawn, you may want to plant some annual ryegrass, and that way you could have some green grass through the cooler weather. But there again, that's your choice.
That is, I'd prefer to keep the grass brown so I don't have to mow it as often. Yeah.
That's right. I was talking with Larry Cole this morning, and he said that he mowed his lawn back in December. And
Oh my goodness.
anyway, so you just never know on the season,
Mhm.
you know. But there again, we try to do our best to advise you. Sometimes our plan works, sometimes it may not work the best, but always it's meant with good intentions. With that, we're going to bid our farewell to you. Special thanks to Owl Pride Foods, makers of Owl Pride Premium Pimento Cheese Spread and Dip, Sandling Golf Cars, and T.G. Brooks Company. And again, hopefully we'll be broadcasting live from T.G. Brooks Company in several weeks or so. We always enjoy our time down there. So with that, we'll bid you a pleasant rest of this rainy Friday and a good weekend and a happy and safe Labor Day to you. And we look forward to being back with you next week on the Gardeners Corner program. And again, thanks to Mr. Paul Westfall of the North Carolina Cooperative Extension Service, where he serves as the director for Person and Granville counties. God bless, and thank you again for tuning in.